Magic, we're on. And again, I'm not going to edit that bit out because funny. Anyway.
Because you like it raw.
Yeah, because we like it raw. So this is what we do. It's a thing now. Episode 3, we're already talking about roaring and not like a lion. Anyway, I feel like that started off strong. So on today's episode of Nuggets, I am not joined by Charlie, the usual guest. I'm Charlie, but the other Charlie. Today we've got a mate of mine, James, on our podcast today. He's the man waving. So if you can't see him on podcast and you watch it on YouTube, you'll see him wave. But on podcast, you won't see him wave.
If you're listening, hello.
There you go. That's James. So I'm going to let James ramble on for a minute about what he does because he'll tell you about him better than I will.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my background's in sports science and biology, and then biomechanics. And then I, procrastinated by playing rugby abroad for a bit, which was good fun. And then I thought, better get a job. So I came back and got into training people. Spent a lot of money on courses getting stuff wrong. Then someone said, that research stuff that you did your master's degree on, you should maybe look into research before you keep spending money on courses. So that's what I've kind of done. And then now I am part of a group of trainers that challenge each other and look at the industry and the research and try and answer the questions correctly rather than getting the wrong answer to the right question, like wearing slippers on your hands. But we'll get into that, no doubt, in the next half hour. And then, so now I start to educate other trainers and helping them find the right answers for their clients. In a nutshell, it's probably about it.
Awesome. It's quite a nice little nutshell, that. I want to try and get as many innuendos into this as possible. It's like the normal it depends game, but I'm just going to try and get innuendos. Drink. I want to make this the drunk podcast. So every half an hour someone listens to us, they just get smashed. I reckon that could be hilarious.
Every time you hear an innuendo.
Yeah. That.
In your endo.
Might be fun. Anyway, so I get a feeling that the person that said maybe you should look at research rather than spending out on all the money on courses that you're getting wrong still. Maybe that was the same person that told me the same thing.
Yeah, probably.
Shout out John Hardy.
Yeah.
So James and I, the group of trainers James is referring to is the FTEs at Faster. So Faster Global are a training provider whom we both run courses for and plan for, but we are also part of the FTE group, which is effectively a group of people, as James said, that try and help other trainers be a bit better and ask the right questions and get to the bottom of things. But it usually involves kind of having an argument with yourself after someone's pulled your head off your shoulders, filled it with stuff, shook it and put it back again. That's usually how it feels on an FTE course. So yeah, it's good fun though. Good fun.
Yeah, just asking those questions.
Yeah, pretty much. But like my favourite bit is when you ask a question and someone says, "You don't mean that question, do you?" And you're gonna go, "No, I don't." And then you spend 20 minutes trying to find the question that you meant, and then you get an answer that you then spend about a day researching for, and you're kind of none the wiser anyway, which is great.
Yeah. Why don't I answer your question with another question?
Absolutely. So, I mean, let's ask a question first. James, when I put a post up the other day saying that I had you on the podcast, I used a picture of you with slippers on your hands. Why did you have slippers on your hands, James?
Well, slippers on my hands, Charlie, is a metaphor or analogy that I use for getting the wrong answer to a question. It's an answer that provides a solution, but it's not necessarily the best solution. And there's probably better solutions out there. Let's try and remain diplomatic here. I thought it was put to me by John Hardy as chicken shoes, and I just kind of adapted it a little bit because chicken shoes took me about 18 months to understand. Yeah. And I think that slipper gloves, it helps me when I'm talking about this kind of stuff to people. So imagine you've got really cold hands and your feet are fine. So you got your shoes on and your socks and your feet are nice and toasty and warm. You got really cold hands and you go, well, I've got these slippers here. I just wear them on my hands. They solve the problem of keeping my hands warm. That is excellent. And then that's my version of a bad scientist. And then someone comes along and goes, hey, but what about these? Look, they're gloves. They're called gloves. And you can put your fingers in them, so you can still use your hands for, almost everything you want to use your hands for.
Never
But
take off.
the gloves also keep the hands warm. What about that solution to your problem?
Never take off.
Yeah. Well, seemingly it doesn't, because you get those guys in our industry going, I'm going to keep my gloves on my hands. I'm going to keep my slipper gloves on. That'll solve the problem for me.
Yeah, like I've become quite attached to my slippers.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that as a metaphor is, and I say John and I sort of, the chicken shoes thing was a thing that John told me about a while back, and that for me was that was kind of the turning point for me. So I very much fell into the bracket of strength and conditioning wanker, where in order to run fast you need to squat, and in order to recover you need to foam roll and ice things, and then you kind of delve into it a little bit more, and it was dogma and tradition and bullshit, frankly. So my chicken shoes or my slipper gloves was, you need to squat full depth or you're not doing a squat, and that will help propel you down the track faster. Or if we put ice on things, ice baths, they're going to help muscle recovery and that kind of thing. Definitely not just going to give you hypothermia, but stuff like that. And it was just kind of, it was a thing. Like, we've always done this, therefore that's what we're going to do. And it's kind of maybe the person that offered you the glove was offering you the route from A to B that wasn't via Q. And it's that kind of thing. So
yeah, I mean, if I'm on a journey, I want to get from A to B as quickly as possible. So, if I'm going from London to Cumbria, I don't want to go via the US because it's a bit out of my way.
A bit far out, yeah. You'll get there. You'll still get to Cumbria.
Absolutely.
But you probably used up all your air miles. Bit inconvenient.
Bit more expensive.
At the minute, flying's a bit sketcy because there's a little bug going around you might have heard of. So, I probably just want to cruise up the M6.
A1M. I go A1M and then across from Scotch Corner.
It all goes north. Yeah. Once you pass Watford, it's north to me. So, same road. Just one road to north.
To north.
To north. And there goes all my northern listeners. All disappeared. But yeah, so to be honest with you, we could probably just fill the rest of the half an hour going around this. So sort of industry nonsense. And kind of
there's one that's going on at the moment. It's really pissing me off. And it's do static holds to get faster.
Yeah.
Amazing. Because if I want to go from A to B, if I want to go from London to Cumbria, I always just sit in my car and don't go anywhere.
What I'm going to do is stand still in London. That's what I'm going to do.
That's how I'll get there quicker.
But this is the thing. No sense. So the thing I don't understand is it doesn't make sense. And you can apply logic to it, which is the worst sort of research you could do. But let's just apply logic to a thing and say, if your goal is to get faster, right? And let's just say that. Let's say you're a 100-meter sprinter and you're trying to shave milliseconds off your 100 meters time. Why the fuck are you going to stand still? I don't understand. Wall sits. How the fuck is a wall sit going to help you get faster? Or let's go into my world, which I understand. Let's go strength training. If I want to improve my deadlift, I've got a 200 kilo deadlift. I want a 250 kilo deadlift. I'm not going to go running down a track to make that better. It's not how it works. So what I'd probably do is insert butt ton of variables into that deadlift and increase the weight over time. Some call it progressive overload. It might work.
It's like golf as well, right? So how many people talk about doing lifting for golf nowadays, and the mechanics and the biomechanics of golf compared to a deadlift is, quite different. Quite different.
No, same place.
Not to mention the overall goal. And and in golf, it's to get the club head speed really quick. So when it contacts with the golf ball goes a decent distance down the fairway, preferably in a line. But if we're just talking about, your technique rather than your actual skill of being able to hit the ball square on, hands and stuff, I don't deal with that. I'll deal with the mechanics of the body. Someone else technique
that's
can help you with that. Yeah, but let's you start doing that and just talk about Stronger muscles equals more power. More power equals more distance. That's the kind of basic reasoning. It's like I think one of the papers that said that resistance training was good for sprinters. If you actually look at the paper, it was done on rats. And human biology and rat biology is a bit different.
Subtle differences, yeah.
Yeah, little.
Rats, they're quite little.
But so what they did was they put resistance on a mouse wheel or on a wheel because they weren't mice, they're rats, and the mechanics of the running was the same. The rat wasn't there with a barbell on.
Although that would be amazing. I want to see that study.
Oh, quality. Yeah, me too. First, I had to do technique work with the rat first.
Not for any performance benefit of my athletes or anything. I just want to see a rat do a deadlift. I reckon that'd be fucking amazing. Clean and jerk.
Yeah. Absolutely. With his little chalk on his paws.
That'd be amazing.
Chalk on his paws.
Chalk, incidentally, does make you stronger. Fact.
Lifting belt.
Yeah, correct. Lifting belt. Love a lifting belt. But
amazing.
Also.
Yeah, so they put resistance on that mouse wheel, and then the rats were training with the same mechanics but with a bit of resistance on. And then they got better at it, and actually they just improved their acceleration, didn't necessarily improve top speed. So then you look at that and you go, wow, what can we do to improve acceleration in actual sprinters or people in a team sport that requires sprinting? And it's loading the same biomechanics without overloading it, so the mechanics don't change. And then turns out that you get quicker through acceleration.
Weird that.
Mad.
Weird.
Mad.
Imagine that. But yeah, I feel like studies that are done on rats are they're pretty well instantly dismissible.
Yeah, but it gives you an idea of where to then go and look at the next study, rather than going
in a direction. But then when that correlates, so I mean, granted, my niche isn't speed. I'm 140 kilo strong man. I'm not made for speed. But but
if you guys do a clean, you want that to be speed.
Yeah, but that's not accelerating down a track. That's rapid change of direction under a bar. So you're going from sort of moderate power up. So there's a big. It depends on who you talk to. And again, there's a lot of tradition and dogma and crap in my sport. Let's stay with Olympic lifting for a bit. So there's a thing of you need to be fast up and fast down. Why? You need to be fast down, definitely, because you've got to beat the bar to the floor. But on the way up, I don't think the speed on the way up matters that much. There's people training speed for deadlifts and getting momentum behind the bar. That's great. If that's your technique, crack on. But I think the last inch before you make contact with the bar from the hip or the thigh in a clean, that bit's quite important because that triple extension is what's going to get the bar to float. Then you've got to be shit fast down underneath that bar because otherwise there's a 100 kilo bar about to come clattering down on top of you and you're not underneath it.
Yeah, well, anything heavy that you're getting off the floor, it's going to have that point of weightlessness before it comes back down.
Yeah.
Same if you're on trampoline. You go, whoa, slow down, and then you accelerate down again. And I suppose what you want to do is you want to get that nice point where you can get that bar as high as possible or get under it. And that's where techniques will differ. Some people will try and get the bar higher so they don't have to get under as quickly or they don't have to drop as much. But inevitably, when you look at that at real elite level, everyone's dropping super low.
Yeah.
With their apple bottom jeans.
Platform. I mean, you see some of the Chinese guys lifting, they're just ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. So much like knee valgus that their arse is almost like a dog, tobogganing along a carpet. Like that. And then they get out the bottom of it. It's insane. It's mad.
The tobogganing dog.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm going to get that drawn up and put on a t-shirt. That'll be merch.
Yeah. So, or imagine the rat. So the rat is doing that clean and press, or clean and jerk. And just as he catches it in the clean, he's just wiping his arse along the floor at the same time.
Yeah. Imagine doing a clean.
Killing two birds with one stone.
It'd be amazing. Imagine doing a clean and someone pushes a sled underneath you, rolls you down a hill. That'd be amazing. Where was I going with that?
I think we've invented new training techniques.
Yeah, I've got a sled at the gym. Might do that when we're allowed to open again and someone gets a clean in. As they're doing it, just throw the sled under them and see what happens. What could go wrong? I feel like I could be absolutely fine. But yeah, so the kind of point of being fast, it's again, and we've covered off about 3 different reasons to be fast. We covered like club head speed in golf needing to be quick. We covered acceleration out of the blocks for sprinters. We covered dropping under a bar or pulling yourself under a bar for a clean and jerk or a snatch. So like speed is a really individual thing, and you can't train it as one, and yet people do.
Yeah, well, it doesn't translate. So your clean and jerk, your speed, you want to be vertically quick, up or down, whatever your argument is for it.
Yeah.
But in running, I want to do that. I want to be real quick from A to B in a horizontal way.
Yeah.
I don't mean I'm horizontal. I mean the distance that I'm traveling is horizontal.
Yeah, linear. Yeah. Although again, I'd like to see that. There's like a land swimming.
Nice.
That could be a thing.
I mean, some coaches would argue that if you just lay down face forward,
static hold,
you get quicker anyway.
100%. 100%. Because that, and then you engage everything.
There's another thing I've seen recently in the industry: eccentric isometrics.
Yes. Did I send you this?
I don't know.
I saw this ages ago. I was doing research into the eccentric boxes, the kind of flywheel boxes that you train with. I was getting one of those, but I wanted to do some little work behind it and stuff like that. And I don't want one now. But like they have a place, and that's great. But as I was going through it, I found a fair amount of I'm going to inverted commas, this poor research around eccentric isometrics, and I'm still not sure what it is because that's an oxymoron. That's like going fast, slowly.
Well, eccentric literally means lengthening while contracting.
Yeah, isometric means
staying still while contracting.
So I don't understand.
So it's like moving still, just moving still.
I don't get it.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
If someone forgetting Sarah Marshall.
I haven't.
Oh, there's a bit where he's trying to learn how to surf and he's on a board and Paul Rudd's there going, "Go on, pop up." So he gets up on the board and he goes, no, too much, do less. So he just lies there and he's like, no, do more. That's eccentric isometric to me.
That's just changing your mind.
That's brilliant.
I don't know, but like, so if someone watching or listening to this can tell me and actually explain what the fuck you mean by eccentric isometrics, that'd be great. Just, let answers on a postcard. That'd be grand. But yeah, I don't get it. But there's a bunch of stuff in the industry. I like how this is now turned into just us chatting about things that annoy us. This is brilliant.
You don't really grind my gears.
No one really gets my goat. What gets my goat is that I haven't got a goat to get. I might get a goat just for this podcast. Every time something comes on, just get his little just out the side of the screen. That'd be amazing.
Yeah. Every time something's mentioned. Foam rolling.
Yeah. Actually, let's delve into that. Now we're there, because that's one I get a lot. Because I put up a post a while back saying, maybe just don't. And I got so much flack saying foam rolling's great and everyone does it and all the best people in the world have foam rollers and they're great and blah, 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 blah. And then when I sort of say to people, like, why are you foam rolling? All you need to do is give me the answer. I feel good on it. Okay, cool. That's your answer. That's great. But people it makes me more flexible, or it makes me stronger, or it affects this and it affects that. Well, it doesn't. It just doesn't.
Yeah. Do those guys have slippers on their hands when they're talking to you?
Correct. So this is going back to the kind of slipper gloves argument. So like foam rolling, correct me if I'm wrong, foam rolling, when it was first a thing, was considered, or it was supposed to have some effect on your tissue length. So the idea being you'll roll a tissue over the foam roller and it will allow the tissues to stretch a little bit more, and then therefore makes you more flexible. Something around that sort of thing. And then a load of stuff got done onto them. And do you remember when it was foam rollers with just that squidgy foam sausage?
Yeah.
And then someone did some work on it and went, maybe if we put more knobbles on this, it'll make it better. So then they came out with like the knobbly rollers and called it trigger point therapy, or trigger point rollers, or whatever they were calling it.
Ridge rollers.
Ridge rollers. Rumble roller. That was my favourite. And that sort of thing. And then they just they hurt more and did exactly the same amount of nothing. But like, it's a weird one. So anyways, you kind of delve through bits and pieces. And it turns out they really do nothing. They're at best, if I play devil's advocate, they might improve flexibility for a couple of minutes, tops. And then go straight back to square one. But even then, that's a really sketchy argument and I don't believe it.
No. Meh. That's the joke. Meh. No, don't let them have that. That's nonsense.
It doesn't.
Absolute nonsense.
They just don't work. They don't do a damn thing. If you feel good on a thing, then great, more power to you. Like it's kind of down to things. So like the slipper gloves work for you. I like all my fingers, so I'm gonna have gloves and I'm gonna keep the slippers on my feet. But it's a thing. There's like I have a foam roller at the gym purely for throwing at people. Excellent, and it makes a really good vase. It's one of the hollow ones with the rumbles in it. It's quite a nice colour of green, and if you put it somewhere, you can put things in it. That's quite cool. But like every time it reaches for it,
get rid of it.
I mean, I kind of don't want to. I'm a little bit attached to it. It's one that I've had for a long time since I used to foam roll. I was that guy.
Well, so just to clarify it, because if you like batter it and you don't give people the answer,
correct.
You know, you see those things when people say things like increases flexibility, right? And what they mean is they get slightly more range after they do it.
Yeah.
Right, but it causes you some pain and discomfort, and then when you stop that pain and discomfort, it's easier to get range. Like if you were trying to touch your toes and I just came and punched you in the hamstring repeatedly, and you're like, ow, that hurts my hamstring more than it was when I was trying to touch my toes. And I was like, well, just put up with it. And I'm just there, you know, give me old boxing, left hooks, bit of jab, uppercut to the hamstrings. And I did that for 20 minutes. And then I stopped. You'd go, oh, it feels much nicer now. You stop punching my hamstring.
Yeah.
that's essentially what it is.
Yeah.
It's just a big distraction for your nervous system, but it's not a very pleasant one.
Really no. So I use the same analogy. It's like, I say it's slightly less aggressive. It depends on what you look at it. You're punching hamstrings. I said to someone the other day, if I stood you in the corner of the room and threw things at you for 20 minutes, when I stop, you feel great because I'm not throwing things at you anymore. So I think when people say they feel good on a foam roller, no one feels good on a foam roller. You feel good when you come off that roller.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Probably because you've been made it feel worse than you were before you were doing the rolling.
Pretty much.
And then you hear arguments like increasing blood flow. And I go, increasing it more than what?
It's already there.
Yeah. Why don't you move that muscle? And that probably increase blood flow as well, because your heart rate would go up and then blood would flow quicker.
Yeah, that.
Get around everywhere.
Maybe do some work. That sort of thing.
Well, but then move. Move.
So to give the answer, I think, so why I'm so averse to foam rollers is one, they just don't work. Is period. Depends on what you use them for. If you use mine like a vase, it works because you can put stuff in it. But if you use it as a foam roller as intended to, it doesn't. But people credit it. So if we're sticking on the flexibility arm and we're saying about, I don't know, squat depth. Let's go squat depth and say that you're a competitive powerlifter. You need to be able to hit parallel or less to score your points on that squat to get the lift. And you can't quite hit parallel. Therefore, you get the foam roller out, you start grinding through your hip flexors, you sit on it for a bit and go for your glutes, hamstrings, quads, calves, all that kind of stuff. You sit on that for a bit, you get back to your bar, you're still not at depth, but you do more reps, and all of a sudden you're at depth. So people would, and myself included, some time back, people would have credited the foam roller for that because you stopped at the start of your session, you foam rolled, and then you did more, and then eventually you ended up in depth because you foam rolled. Whereas what you actually did was just did more reps. You just practiced the movement and got better at the skill. So the foam roller in itself just stopped 10 minutes of your session that you could have done more reps in. So we'll get onto the topic of variables in a minute because I think that's quite important. But just in terms of looking at a squat, the more you squat, the better at squatting you get. And it's the same with anything. The more you run, probably the faster at running you get. When you first started driving, you were all hands and feet and mirror signal maneuver. And now you jump in your car, start up, you can open up at Greg's Steak Bake and tune the radio as you're going down the road. I don't suggest that. Don't do that. But you get the idea, that kind of thing. So when you do a thing more, you get better. So don't credit the foam roller with your flexibility. Credit the number of reps that you did and the work you put into that skill.
Talk kids and dogs and stuff. People that you couldn't say tense a muscle or squeeze or roll. No kid wants to roll. No, foam roll. Well, I mean, teddy bear roll or roly poly maybe, but not foam roll. Why? Because it does nothing. But if you were a kid or you had a kid or you've had kids, and they start walking, that's not because you've gone, oh, brace your core, squeeze your glute, did you roll your hamstrings? Let's do this. They pull themselves up, and they imitate, and they fail, and they learn. And this is where the variable comes in, because if you do it in different environments, different footwear, pull yourself up in a different table, toddle along a different surface, carpet, tiled floor, wet floor outside, ice, then you learn how to adapt to those conditions, and you get better at the skill overall. But if you talk about it to an adult who's in a gym setting that wants to get better at a movement, they say that they're weak, or they can't do this or can't do that. And the reason why, I'm right-handed, so I'm going to talk right-handedness as opposed to left-handedness. The reason why I can't throw a ball as accurately or as far with my left hand is not to do with a weakness. It's to do with a skill.
Yeah.
And it's that. And people go, well, I must be weak here, and I must be, because, it's not the side that I use as much. And it's it's balance. It's practice and skill. And 9 times out of 10, you pick up a ball, or 99 times out of 100, and you throw it for a dog, or play catch with a mate, or play it in any sport that you've played, or throw a shot put, or anything like that. And then, we do all that one-sided. And then in sport, they go, whoa, you need to be symmetrical. But why do you need to be symmetrical? Surely that's not advantageous for my sport. I want to get better at hitting it this way, because that's how I do it.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's this whole, I think there's an argument for being symmetrical for like a health thing. But I'm not sure what the argument is, so I'm not going to go into it, because I don't have that argument.
Briefly, I'll tell you where it came from. It's when you get an injury, if you've been injured, you change your skill, right? So my big injury in life was dislocated knee, left knee, 2 or 3 times, and surgery. So I had a long time, spend a lot of time putting weight on my right leg. And yes, I had some atrophy and stuff, so I lost muscle mass, and it wasn't as strong, but it was also skill. I had to relearn how to walk using my left leg, without crutches and without a splint and without because your brain and you adapt, your skill level adapts to doing that when you do it often. And then, so you have the asymmetry after the injury, especially straight after, when you've healed but haven't done your rehab and retrained that skill back. And then you've just spent more time on that side, so you get good at it. So then the correlation, or the bad scientist is, maybe if we make you symmetrical, you won't get injured. But that's not how it works.
I feel like it's also down to habits. So like if we move away from sport, it's just, you will have movements that you do without even thinking about it. So like for me, I come downstairs in the morning, I turn right to go into my kitchen for breakfast. So I've got that step off a step and turn that corner. So like if I come down my stairs and turn left to go to the front room, it feels weird at that time in the morning, because it's not where I go. Do you know what I mean? That's a really weird analogy to say, but you have these kind of habits that you put in. So first thing in the morning is proprioception. I come down the stairs, I hang a right, I go and make food. And that's a thing. So with taking it back to sport, I know with a clean and jerk, I do split jerk, I'm right foot forward. And it's just, that's how I do a split jerk. I tried it quite recently. I put my left foot forward, and I dumped a 60-kilo bar, completely bailed it. Couldn't get the movement, fell over, went arse of it. It was horrible. And I just took change my foot, because now, I'm massively weak. I need to work on my symmetry. But I don't, so I'm just bad at that side. And that's fine, because I don't use it for sport. If I was in a competition, I would never, unless it was some Karate Kid-esque movement where all of a sudden my foot's been broken, I need to get the bar up, which hopefully doesn't happen. And then you have to do the weird crane kick thing. Which
nothing weird about it, mate. He wins. Daniel LaRusso wins the All Valley tournament doing that, so I don't know what you're talking about there.
It's very true. Although, have you seen Cobra Kai, the new series?
Of course.
Changes your perspective, doesn't it? All of a sudden, Danny LaRusso's a dick. But,
yeah, all for Johnny Lawrence.
You know what I mean? Bastard. Don't like it.
Anyway, we've gone off on a tangent.
We have a massive tangent. Yeah, we're going to start talking about like series and Netflix. But yeah, the symmetry thing. Going back to that. If we're talking about performance, do what works. So like with me, I'll always go in a competition right foot forward for a jerk. Always. With a footballer, let's look at David Beckham, for example. He would always take his penalties on the same foot. He's got that one dominant side where he knows he will put the ball in one of the squares at the back of the net, and he'll hit that box every single time he kicks that ball. If you've got to do it with his other leg, granted, David Beckham, he was quite good from what I hear. I'm not a massive footballer, but I hear he was all right. So if he did it with his opposite leg, he'd probably still get it near or nearabouts. But it was better on the one side. You go through any sport, people have their dominant sides, right? So I don't understand the symmetry aspect for performance. I don't think it has any blind bit of difference. If you train a thing that's good, keep it good.
No, it's. I think when you're looking at movements and stuff, people talk about they need to do symmetry, so they need to be able to rotate as far right as they can left and things like that, because they might feel discomfort or whatever when they try and do it, and they can't do it as well. And I think what we should do as movement pros is help people move that way if they want to move that way, but recognize that performance is something different. So you load and train and focus more on the other side, or on the side that they perform on, or how they do those movements biomechanically. But when you go back to making sure they can move that way, doesn't matter that they choose to do it a different way 9 times out of 10, but as long as we can make sure they can do it the other way, that's nice.
Yeah, that's a much better way of saying what I was trying to say. Thanks. Got it.
This isn't my first rodeo.
Nor mine, weirdly, but I like to waffle. I'm good at waffling.
Yeah, well, yeah, I teach a course and people call it story time because I go off my tangents. So
yeah,
good. Yeah. Love a tangent. Love an analogy.
Maybe if I train symmetry in my vocal cords, I wouldn't tangent so much.
Yeah, well, maybe. Going back to symmetry, I bet, and again, going down the old crude route, I bet you wipe your ass with the same hand each time.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, I use paper, but sorry, I couldn't help myself. But, it's you know, you try. It's like a gear stick in your car. Maybe a better way of doing it. Gears in a car go left hand, unless you're listening on the continent, where you might do it right-handed.
Yeah, same. Yeah. I'm still wondering how I managed to walk into. I'm still wondering how I managed to walk into the toilet paper joke. I'm a little bit upset with myself. I should have seen that coming.
Yeah, don't worry. It's all right. It happens to the best of us.
Go. Oh man. So I feel like we should sort of start summarising what we've waffled on about, because we're a good 20-25 minutes into this. Maybe more. I can't do basic maths. We might be more than 25 minutes. I don't even know.
It's not maths, mate. It's counting.
Same maths. It's not weights on a bar. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, he's a personal trainer. You've done over 12. It's over 12. We've lost count.
I'm a strength coach. I do more than 5 and it's cardio. Not doing it. But yeah, so I feel like this could be like a regular thing where we just jump on and talk about shit that winds us up and why it winds us up and how maybe not to do that. Ultimately, I mean, we talked about sort of symmetry and isometric holds for performance and foam rolling and chicken shoes and slipper gloves and that kind of thing. But like, I don't know what it's going to take to the rest of the industry to catch up, because there's always that attitude of, well, we've always done this, ergo that's what works. And like, well, fine. But like,
all things filter down from sport, right? In sport, now with professionalism in sport, people want the edge. If they can get 1% improvement, they'll take it. Yeah. Because that could be the difference between a medal and lucrative sponsorship deals and all kinds of different things, or being the unknown that no one knows you, grafting hard, and it's hard to do. And I think that professionalism in sport does that. So if people feel like they get an extra inch of range, or for want of a better term, flexibility in a movement after foam rolling, and that range is beneficial to or they think it's beneficial to their performance, they'll do it. It's like cryotherapy chambers, or cupping, or KT taping, or if you tape on your skin, you're not really helping that muscle. But if people feel like they get this metaphorical cuddle from a bit of tape on the leg, and they don't worry about it because they've got tape on it, and that means that my knee now won't dislocate, and I'll be able to run around forever. I mean, injuries happen with bad luck sometimes as well. You can do all the injury prevention in quotes, because you can't.
Commas.
But you can do all that kind of training in the world, and it won't stop you getting injured if you have a bit of misfortune. You know, come out the gym after doing an hour and a half of injury prevention training, get hit by a bus.
Yeah. You've just done all the injury prevention training, so the bus is going to get more injured than you.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Hancock, when he doing that train hits him.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Imagine how many people tried to stop a train with their shoulder after that film. There'll be someone. I guarantee there'll be someone.
Sure.
I mean, I'm just going to caveat that sentence with, I have a 3-month-old and I'm very tired.
Will Smith can do it. I can do it.
Nailed it. But yeah, so like, I feel like there's definitely another conversation to be had here, and I think the injury prevention conversation is going to be I reckon that'll be a good conversation to have. We'll see if we can get Ollie in on that as well, because he's quite good at injuries and stuff.
Well, you know, he probably does more of the rehabilitation side of stuff.
Yeah, so it'll be an interesting conversation to have with him. Might tap him up, make a message out to him and see what happens.
But yeah, I could talk half an hour on injury prevention alone.
Oh, easily, and it's just such a massive topic, and around effectively such a nonsense thing.
Yeah, but it's important for sport, because if you can keep your best players fit, then you're most likely going to have better performances and better results. Better results lead to more points. More points mean
prizes. Oh, I'm so glad I didn't let you hang on that one. More points mean, huh?
Yeah.
Finish your sentence, James.
I don't know. Yeah, why is he paused? Have we lost?
Oh no, we've lost him. Cool, man. Well, I feel like we should wrap this up. I feel like that was quite open-ended. I feel like we're going to get a few questions on the back of this, which is awesome. Do fire them through. And yeah, like, I'll get you back on at some point. We'll have another chat and we'll kind of answer some questions and take some of the flack that we've been given for saying, stop fan rolling, just do some movement and stuff. Which
bring on the flack.
Oh, 100%. Love a bit of flack.
Well, at the same time, this isn't to tell everyone that they're shit and wrong.
Correct.
It's to try and help people get better. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're all in the industry to do, is to try and help people get better. Whether that is feel better, whether it's to increase performance, whether it's to achieve everyday tasks, you know, that's the idea. But sometimes things get born out of frustration. Correct.
So I think you and I can we both had those conversations in our inbox of people going, "You're wrong." And you kind of go, "I'm not sure I am," but it's an interesting argument just to come out of absolutes. I love an absolute. Like, let's talk about variables. Let's not talk about black and white. Let's talk about all the shades of grey in the middle of that, because that's probably a better conversation.
50 of them.
50 of them, yeah. It's a great conversation. Terrible film.
I haven't seen it.
You're not missing.
Is there foam rollers in his red room?
Oh, maybe. I don't know. Awful film. I got made to watch it some time ago. Terrible.
Made
to inverted commas. I wasn't on my own with like little cold packs under my eyes and a bowl of popcorn. Not even a little bit. Nope, not me. Right. On that, with that image fresh in your mind, I'm going to hit stop recording. Before I do that, though, this is the bit where James and I are going to talk about what we can do for you and sell things. So if you've got no interest in using us for things, then probably tune off now. But if you want to hear about what we're about, stay tuned. James, what do you do? How can you help the listeners at home?
Oh, well, you know, I train people. So
excellent.
I do the same. I can do that. But then what I can also do is if you are a trainer and you also train people but want to know more, then teach courses, specifically a sports performance expert course. So I've got ex-pro footballers and like previous international athletes from different sports that are in the training industry now and train people, and they're all in this little group that we talk and discuss things, and you know, sometimes meet up online and put Charlie through his paces in his gym and things like that, and challenge the ideas that we're all coming up with and keeping each other on our toes. So that's always good to be a part of. So if you like your sport, want to know how to train clients better or yourself better, then you can feel free to get in touch about that. It's always good.
Definitely. I'm not going to plug me. People know who I am. I'm just going to mirror what James said. So the course he's referring to is a sports performance expert with Faster. Awesome course. If you're on the fence of kind of doing like a level 4 accredited strength and conditioning course, save your money. Like, come and speak to James. You're going to need to speak to him.
Oh, we can give you the level 4 as well.
Yeah, 100%. You'll get the same qualification, but an awful lot better kind of information and, for want of a better way of putting it, like aftercare. But more to the point, it's not just a sort of tick box. You're not just trying to pass an exam. Do you know what I mean? You get the kind of support afterwards, and you get to understand. And this is one of my least. This is a goat. Get set for the goat. You get to understand you get to understand the why. Like, what's your why? It's Herbalife rep's favorite quote. You get to understand the why of what you're doing. So, kind of getting through that. So, yeah, 100%. Tap James up if you're a trainer or want to get into training, that sort of thing. Definitely speak to James. He's your man. He'll help you out. And as you've heard from the last however long I've been waffling on for, he's much better at getting his point across than I am. So don't speak to me. Speak to James. All right? Speak to me if you want to get stronger about things. I can definitely help you there. I can't help you do better with clients and whatnot. I'm not good at that. James is very good at that. So if you're a personal trainer, speak to James. If you're not a personal trainer, speak to me. That's probably the summarise there, isn't it? Awesome. Right. Anyways, James, thank you very much for being in touch with this. Really enjoyed this. We'll have another one at some point as well, and we'll talk about some of the things that we get from this.
Cheers. Thanks very much.
Awesome, man. Great stuff. I will speak to you very, very soon.